live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show You're Not Overly Ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on in to what is a June 1st edition of the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. You could always get at me on the good old cesspool of Twitter or on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Or you can find me on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. But most importantly, youtube.com/@365SportsYT, youtube.com/@365SportsYT. Make sure you subscribe. Tom Hannifan going to join us coming up 30 minutes from now. He will preview the Penn State football season for us, a new era in Happy Valley with James Franklin now at Virginia Tech since they fired his ass midway through the season. And now you start the Matt Campbell era coming over from Iowa State, finally saying goodbye to the Cyclones after years and years of, just speculation on what was going to transpire with Matt Campbell. When was he going to eventually leave the program that he did a wonderful job at Iowa State? And now he is the head football coach at Happy Valley and in Happy Valley. So we will take a look at Rocco Beck. We will take a look at Matt Campbell and the cast of characters that do join him for his first year as the head football coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. But Garrett, it was a very busy weekend. We have our Stanley Cup Finals set. I don't think it's going to do tremendously well in the ratings when you do have the Carolina Hurricanes and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas has gone on this incredible run, a very low win total. They had so many overtime games this year. They fired their coach, Bruce Cassidy, with about a month left in the season. John Tortorella comes in. Carter Hart is now a hot goaltender after his very public legal situation. I don't think we need to really delve into the specifics there. I think people know what did go on with Carter Hart as he was away, out of the league for all those years, as that legal situation did go down. And you got a Carolina team that has been knocking on the door the last few years, and my Rangers have had their fair share of success up against the Hurricanes. But to be this late into the postseason, only have one loss, and that loss came coming off the long layoff of a sweep in the second round till you got to the conference finals. I think it's going to be a very good Stanley Cup final between the Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. But with that being said, I don't think the ratings are going to do all that well.
No, this isn't a matchup where you expect the ratings to do well. And honestly, I don't think the ratings have – I think the ratings have done pretty well, but the playoffs haven't been as good as they have been.
The ratings actually done really well in the Stanley Cup
weird.
playoffs. Yeah.
It's weird.
At least the first two rounds. I don't know what they were for the conference finals.
Yeah, I mean, they probably dipped a little bit, but no, this should be an outstanding series.
I think it goes 6 or 7 games.
It's definitely going 6 or 7. And honestly, it's one of those matchups where I don't think anybody really expected Vegas to be here. Carolina, you kind of saw it coming as the things unfolded. But dude, this should be one where I wouldn't be shocked if Vegas pulled it off, but it feels like it's Carolina's to lose this season.
Yeah, I know. Carolina, to me, is definitely the favorite. You've only lost one game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And with this core, and I know they've had youngsters that has come in through the last year and a half, but they've been knocking on the door, and their goalie in Anderson has been just sensational. So we'll do some Stanley Cup playoff preview maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll bring on a guest with the Stanley Cup final beginning tomorrow. But now we do have our NBA Finals set. We'll get into Victor Wembanyama, his emotions, the Spurs getting the job done. I have not bet much on the NBA playoffs. I love betting NFL. I love betting college football. I will dabble here or there in the NCAA tournament. But for hockey, I really don't bet much. Right. For the NBA, I can't stand really betting basketball. But I placed 2 bets so far in this postseason, and both of them have won. The last Knicks game before they beat the Cavs, they were only a 2.5-point favorite. I hammered the Knicks money line. And then also I got a bet in the other night on the Spurs plus 3.5. I thought the Spurs were going to, when it got to game 7, I thought the Spurs were going to win because all throughout the series it was this could go either way. You have to give the edge to OKC just because of how tough they are to beat. You even saw in the first game when they lost, it had to go to double overtime. But once you got to a game 7 and you had the injuries to Mitchell, you had the injuries to Williams, Caruso wasn't 100% as he suffered an injury in that game 7. I walked into game 7 and I said, bare minimum, I think the Spurs are going to keep this close. I think they're going to probably win outright, but I'll plus the 3.5 points if you're going to give me 3.5 points. And cha-ching, won a few dollars on that. So the Spurs are going to the finals. You have Spurs and Knicks. And unlike hockey, I think this is going to be a really good series, just like I think it's going to be in hockey. But the ratings are going to be through the roof. In the East Coast, you got the Knicks. What a big story. What a big brand. Here come the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. The last time they got there was up against the San Antonio Spurs. And then you have the biggest star in the sport. And not only the biggest star in the sport, one of the biggest stars in the sporting world, period. Like, I'm trying to think who rivals Wembanyama. And I know that, like, leave soccer out of it. You don't know the difference between your elbow and your ass with soccer, and neither do I.
No.
But you look at it, in hockey, it's McDavid. Wemby, to me, is a bigger national star. NBA over NHL. Major League Baseball, it's Ohtani. That's the one that really does rival Victor Wembanyama. And there's similarities, and I've said this before, between Shohei Ohtani and Victor Wembanyama because they're both one of one. They're both aliens. Like, Ohtani comes over, and no one really alive ever saw Babe Ruth play.
No.
He's Babe Ruth. And like everything you heard of as a kid, he's an elite pitcher. He's a dominant MVP batter. And you look at Wembanyama, like, it is insane what he does with the way that his body is built at 7'4", and he could be elite by the rim, dunking the basketball in your face, blocking shots. But then he has the ability to pull up from 3 at times, like he's Steph Curry from that ridiculous range that he hits some of those shots. So he's a basketball alien. Ohtani is a baseball alien. But I really do look at this. I think that's, in terms of the sports world, the biggest star in sports right now. If you take soccer out of it, it's either Ohtani or it is Wembanyama. And I guess you could consider Mahomes and Josh Allen in the mix as well, but we don't even know who the best quarterback is in football these days.
No, I also think that's another part of the reason for the push with the NFL and more globalizing this is to eventually get the global standard for your stars to rival, because that's the one edge that you don't have on the NBA or these other sports is the global aspect from the stars. So hopefully they'll probably get there eventually, but it's going to be a while. But no, this right here, dude, Victor Wembanyama is a national just you got to tune in to watch him. Everybody in the world is going to have.
There's no way he's from this planet. I just don't buy it. I think he came from like Mars or something because that dude is a freaking alien. And it was nice to see him show some human emotion, by the way. And you see how much a guy who came over here to play basketball, how much it does mean to him when the clock did hit triple zeros. And the next thing you know, you're going to the NBA Finals. I'll get back to the Wemby emotion in just a second. I think this may just be like a different coast thing. People will be like, oh, that Gelb, he's a Yankee, right? Like, he can't talk college football. I'm a Heisman Trophy voter. I talk to more college football people, in the country, from Dan Lanning to Kalen DeBoer, all over the place. College football, I know that is a little territorial. I will say this humbly, I'm one of the best college football voices in the country in my estimation, at least from an East Coast guy. Now, I will ask you this, though, because I said college football. I'm not following college softball. I'm not following college baseball. That's why I want to ask you, because I know, like, you're crazy for this stuff. Every time I go on social media, and I don't know how far they are or any of that stuff, I really don't pay attention. But anytime I go on social media, I see some controversy. You had Jay Will, who went to Florida, and then his daughter plays on Texas Tech.
Yep, she was at Florida. She transferred to Texas Tech. And I guess he was at the game, Jay Will, with his other daughter, and there was like a 90-year-old woman that was in a wheelchair, and she was annoyed how loud Jay Will and the daughter was, and she had like one of those handheld fans, and she was smacking Jay Will with it, smacking Jay Will's daughter with it. So I saw that originally, and that blows up. But then I saw something yesterday in softball
where there was some kerfuffle in a handshake line. And I gather that the player also transferred, and was it Tennessee? And then the coach said, "Oh, you made a mistake." And then in baseball yesterday, for college baseball, some guy hit a home run and did an innocuous celebration, and then he got tossed from the game, right?
Yes, I believe that was I think that might have been the Georgia one. But dude, it's been a wild weekend. And that
what's
whole
going
thing,
on here with these crazy 90-year-old women, these crazy umpires ejecting people, and then these crazy coaches going after other players? Could we have some order here in college baseball and college softball, please?
That's the fascinating thing. Is even going back to that Florida series you were talking about with Texas Tech, because once that game was over and Tech had eliminated them, Florida wouldn't even line up and shake their hands. They just went off the field. Tech was waiting. They refused to even shake their hands. And then you turn around and you have the incident unfold with Tennessee, and all that transpires in the line. This is one of those things right now where Texas Tech's athletic department has the entire nation on pins and needles, because they were not expected. They're doing things that are not allowed. You're not allowed to do this as a Texas Tech program. You can't throw the money around. You can't compete with us. But no, dude, you went out and you bought Najee Kennedy. It's legal. She got you to the national championship last year, the star pitcher for Texas Tech. She's got you in another position this year to get you there. And they did they went and snatched a pitcher from UCLA, and they brought her over to help when Najee's not able to go. So Texas Tech's done a really good job of stirring the pot, and they have pissed off the entire college athletics landscape.
How far are we along in college baseball and college softball right now? Do you know?
We are in the super regional. Well, you got the regionals wrapping up in baseball tonight. You have a handful of games that will get you to the super regionals. And I believe in softball, we just wrapped up the super regionals, I believe. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. I'm going to need a daily update from you.
I got you.
Until this is over. We're gonna allocate 2 to 5 minutes. Probably 5 minutes a day. I want 2 or 3 minutes on the college softball. I want 2 or 3 minutes on college baseball. And this is going to be your wheelhouse, because I'm very honest with the listening audience. If I'm not into something, I'm not going to be one of those dweeby broadcasters that go, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever," and they don't know, two shits about what they're talking about when it comes to college baseball or when it comes to college softball. You actually pay attention to this. I
love it, dude.
And you're one of these sycophants for the ladies in softball and also the men in college baseball. So we're going to use you as our eyes and ears, and you're going to be our local correspondent for the college baseball and the college softball as this continues to go on and on and on. And I want full breakdowns if there's any
I got you.
Celebrations that go wrong, if there's any crazy handshakes that go on, definitely make sure that you are helping us out and keeping us abreast on what is going on in the world of college baseball and college softball. Also, we'll get into this later. It is Injunction Day for Brendan Sorsby. Now, here's the latest from Pete Thamel. We'll do more on this coming up later. Pete Thamel, the preeminent college football insider. Hearing for Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby's injunction is underway in Texas at the Lubbock County Courthouse. He's not present at the hearing. The hearing is expected to take less than a day. Judge Ken Curry will signal at some point today how quickly the ruling will come. Just give me a yes or a no, and we will delve into this more later, because new information came out over the weekend about Sorsby, and I don't know if we will find out anything today by the time we get off the air at 2 p.m. Eastern time, but it does not seem like this is going to be a process that drags on out, and either he's going to win and he'll play in college football this year, or he'll lose, and then I gather the next step would be to enter his name in the supplemental draft. So as we sit here on June 1st in the year of 2026, right now, yes or no, does Garrett Ross think Brendan Sorsby will be playing in at least one game this season for the Texas Tech Red Raiders?
No, not at all. There's no way.
Gotcha. I will give you my opinions on that coming up later in the show. You know what it also is today? You know what the meeting of June 1st also is today?
What is it?
Today is the post-June 1 trade day for one A.J. Brown. At 4 p.m. Eastern time. That is when, I guess, the salary moves and the dead cap, so the Eagles can trade A.J. Brown and it doesn't crush them immediately, and they can spread out the salary, do whatever fancy schmancy shit that they want to do. So right at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be sitting there, and I'm going to be holding my breath because I've been holding my breath for the last 2-3 months, and then I realized that this wasn't going to happen after June 1 or after 4 p.m. Eastern time on June 1. So I am very curious what the return's going to be for A.J. Brown. I don't think it's going to be as rich as what people think it's going to be. I do think the Patriots are going to give up a first-round pick, but when reports initially emerged that the Eagles were going to trade A.J. Brown, the Eagles were looking for a 1 and a 2. I would be shocked if they get a 1 and a 2. I think they'll get a 1,
right?
But I don't know if anything else is going to be attached to that.
Now, how are you feeling about it? You feeling good? Like, you confident?
Yeah, he's going to be on the New England Patriots. I've been saying that for the last 3 months. It's been the worst kept secret in all of football. And A.J. Brown is going to come to the Patriots, and he's going to make that offense more explosive. I would like to see them also bring back Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
So then you could have a receiving core for a year of A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Romeo Doubs. And you got Matt Collins with his no shoes, which always creeps me out, being wide receiver 4. You know, I think they may trade Kayshon Boutte, or they're going to try to. Your LSU guy, really the inventor of gambling in college athletics.
Yeah.
And they got a few other guys on that wide receiving core, Kyle Williams. So, yeah, A.J. Brown, come on over and join the New England Patriots. So I will be very thrilled whenever that does happen. If you had to take a guess, like, let's just have some fun with this real quickly. So today at 4 p.m. Eastern time, he is eligible for all that to get traded to the Patriots and the dead cap and all that stuff. So really 4 p.m. Eastern time is when we are really on a watch. Give me a date and just throw out a time when you think we will get the A.J. Brown breaking news.
Oh, honestly, date eligible. I'll say probably. Honestly, I think it's going to happen this evening, and it'll probably happen about 7.
So 7 p.m. on June 1st.
Yeah, we'll say that.
See, I do think there is part of me that goes, this is the worst kept secret. So when it's 4:01 and
That's just gonna hit.
I think Schefter was on with our guys, John Kincaid and Andrew Salchunas on The Fanatic this morning, or at least this is what I saw online. And he said, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. So if Schefter is going on vacation tomorrow,
it's not gonna drop, yeah.
No. I kind of think that means that he knows that it's going to drop today. He puts that tweet out there, and then boom, he goes and enjoys his merry vacation. Now, on Twitter, this random account at Carl27286E tweeted out, "Hey peeps, guess the." I'm not a peeps person. I hate when people go, "Hey peeps,
Hey, peeps.
Hey peeps, guess the day and time of the A.J. Brown trade, official NFL announcement, and win a Patriots 3D Stadium Cup from the Wayback Machine. 1 entry per account, odds of winning based on amount of entries, closest guess, either side of time wins. All entries must be in by blah, 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 by midnight, May 31st. The below is an example only. So it's a cup of the Patriots' first 3 Super Bowls, and it's really cool. It's got Brady, it's got Vinatieri, it's got the 3 Lombardi trophies. So I looked at some of this stuff, and I go, let me fire off a guess. So here is my guess. June 2nd, tomorrow, at 12:28 p.m.
All right.
Eastern. I just threw that out there. I would like to win the cup. If I could win that cup, that would be pretty cool. I don't know what. When I was a kid, I loved when I went to Patriot games. They would have these mugs.
Oh.
And I would get even if it wasn't hot or cold, whatever, they always had hot chocolate.
Yeah.
And I would get a big hot chocolate mug. Whether I was drinking the hot chocolate or not was irrelevant, because I wanted the big mug, because they would have like the players on and all that stuff. This year, when I went to the divisional round game up against the Texans, I said, Patriots, Texans, I haven't got a mug in a while. Let me go see. The quality of mugs now.
Oh, it's terrible.
They're not the same as they once were. Like,
nothing is.
I had a mug that would have 4 or 5 players on it. Big mug, like you could put like ice and water in it. And, have a nice glass of ice and water by your bed. Cool, really fits your team. The mug at the stadium now was just like a Patriots logo. I go, I'm not buying that.
That's it. Yeah.
And I could have used the hot chocolate that day because it was snowing at one Patriot place when I went there. So that's kind of on the docket right now, as we're waiting on A.J. Brown. We're waiting on Brendan Sorsby. We know the NBA Finals is going to start on Wednesday. The Stanley Cup playoffs start tomorrow. And Garrett's going to keep us obviously up to date on all the craziness that's going on in the college baseball playoffs and also the softball playoffs as well. It was kind of like I felt as if I was watching Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz from all those years ago when it was 49ers and Lions, and those two almost punched one another when they were having those handshakes.
Dude, that's what it was like. It's getting intense. I think this is one of my favorite times of year, honestly, is to throw squeeze play on. I think ESPN does an excellent job with squeeze play, putting up multiple games at one time and then rotating them out. But, yeah, dude, this is one of my favorite times of year. I would love to be able to go to Omaha and experience that in person one time. That's one of my bucket list items.
Okay, so Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs are Western Conference champions. Isn't it crazy? You had the Spurs and the Patriots, both with new coaches this year. I know Mitch Johnson was a part of the staff last year and was the interim coach when Pop was out recovering from the stroke. And you had Vrabel come on in. You have a star player in Wemby. Obviously, Drake May is not a global star like Wemby, but he's that next era, the guy that's replacing Tom Brady in New England, just like Wemby is replacing Tim Duncan. You had such a legendary run by the Spurs, all those championships, all the legendary run by the Patriots, all those championships. Spurs were down and out for a bit. Patriots were down and out for a bit. And now, in this new era year and this really go time, Patriots get to the Super Bowl. They lose to the Seattle Seahawks, where they were not the favorite. Now the Spurs are in the NBA Finals, and they are the favorite, where people expect them to beat the Knicks. I'll give you my prediction on that tomorrow, but let's start off with the Western Conference Finals off of that Game 7. And here is Victor Wembanyama, who is one step closer from accomplishing his dream of winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
Winning the Larry O'Brien, it's a childhood dream. And having a real shot at it, having a chance, tangible chance at winning it, at realizing a dream, it's a chance. It's a lifetime chance, you never know when it's going to happen again. But it's, the day we win it, speaking for myself, it's going to be an amazing day of, realization of a dream, It's hard to put into words. It's almost like the meaning of my life,
You look in sports and you look at the NBA and you talk about emotions when players win a championship. Everyone remembers Michael Jordan breaking down and after he won that championship with his father no longer alive, and just that scene in the locker room, Garrett, where MJ is literally on the floor just crying. I saw someone tweet out the other night, that's the most emotion that I've seen from an NBA player. And it's not winning a title yet, but accomplishing something since Michael Jordan. And I was like, there's two others that really did stand out to me as well. Kevin Garnett, anything's possible when he won the championship with the Boston Celtics. And then LeBron, when he came back from down 3-1 up against the Golden State Warriors, and that's the most important championship in LeBron James's career. That emotion falling to the floor, screaming, "Cleveland, this is for you." Those were two really memorable, emotional moments. But I see Jesus puts up there, Kobe. Yeah, definitely Kobe on the table and fist pumping and all that stuff. Definitely. But when you look at the emotion for Wemby, since he is foreign and we don't really know much about his personality, it was cool to see how much that this does mean to him. Let's see, right as the game ended, Wemby conversing with his teammates, and this was the emotion that we got to see from Victor Wembanyama.
To the NBA Finals.
Look at the emotion from Wemby. Unbelievable. This is what you want to see. A young team growing up on the biggest stage. Look how his teammates.
I'll ask you this. because I saw this going around online.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks, when they won, and
Yeah.
it wasn't as emotional of a series, they quickly just swept the Cavs. That game 4 was a blowout, so it wasn't like a grinded out game. And the Spurs went up 14 early. That first shot of the game when Wemby did the Tim Duncan bank shot, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good, and it's only one shot. But whenever the Spurs looked like they were about to give up the lead or did give up the lead, then they just took it to a different level and they distanced themselves. Like it would be tie game or it'd be Thunder by 2, and then the Spurs would shoot back up and they would go back up by 8 or 9 points. You saw the emotion from the Spurs. You could tell that they let out a real emotional burst after winning the Western Conference Finals, where for the Knicks, it was more so just business as usual. Jalen Brunson and also Karl Anthony Towns not really expressing that much emotion. Do you think that factors in the finals where it looks like the Knicks haven't exhaled while the Spurs exhaled and they were celebrating the accomplishment of winning the Western Conference Finals?
I can see how you can make that argument. But no, I don't think there's much into it. And look, the Knicks, they were very businesslike with it. Like we're just on to the next. We're not done yet. But honestly, I think with how the Spurs, they're not supposed to be here, right? Like they're not supposed to be here. Whereas the Knicks kind of like they were.
Well, the Knicks before the season, it was get to the NBA Finals or bust. The Spurs, you knew they were going to be a playoff team. You didn't know where they were in the pecking order.
Right.
But when they entered the postseason, it was clear and obvious they were the second best team in basketball.
Yeah, but at the same time, like everybody was expecting the Thunder to win this. So I think from that aspect of it and just the path that both teams had to travel, I don't think that plays a factor in it at all. I think you're going to see them regroup, or we're going to have it. Honestly, if this thing goes to 7, I wouldn't be shocked.
By the way, I was looking up tickets to go to San Antonio. So, like, the worst seat in the house is $1,200. At the Garden, it's like $4,000. So it's like affordable, ish, to go to San Antonio. So I was like, all right, like I have a friend in San Antonio. I could stay there, not pay the hotel. But then the flights to get there to San Antonio are like another $700 or $800.
Hell no.
Flying from New York to San Antonio is not the easiest thing.
I bet not.
I looked at maybe flying to Austin and then driving. It didn't really make that much of a difference. So unless if someone is getting me in the building at Madison Square Garden, I think I'm just going to enjoy the games on my couch, or on Wednesday night, I want to go to a good bar in the city.
Right.
And on Wednesday night, I'm going out with a few people to watch Game 1 in a bar in the city. But, like, I always hate watching in big groups, if I'm just being honest, because you don't know how many people are actually invested in the game and all that stuff. Like, I had to watch the national championship game this year, and, like, I felt as if 5 or 6 people watching the game never watched a college football game before in their life. And I was just tuning out the dumb comments that I heard. But Zach Gelb could only be nice for so long. All righty, let me play 2 more clips from Wemby, and then we'll do SGA later on. Tom Hannafan's going to join us right at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is Wemby making it clear how much this means to him and how he needs to go get 4 more victories.
Like I want that. I want to win so bad. It's like my life depends on it.
It's so cool because Wemby is an alien. He seems like a robot. We obviously see him on the court, but we don't know much about him, the person. To see that emotion that we played in the last few clips, I know that we all have an appreciation and a respect for Wemby, but I think that did get taken up the next level, especially with the way that he reacted after the game. And finally, here is Wemby on his relationship with Greg Popovich and how he needs to call Pop and celebrate this moment together.
But what do you think this means for Pop, and how important is it for you to have these moments for him?
I can't answer that question. I don't know what it means for him. That's a guy who's got more experience as a coach than almost anybody, and has been through so many things in his career and so many things right now as El Jefe. He goes through some things we can't even imagine. So I need to call him I need to see him. I need to talk to him. Because there's no way I can understand right now, how he feels.
So there you go. That's Victor Wembanyama. We'll play you some Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming up later in the show. Knicks and Spurs set NBA Finals. That will tip off on Wednesday evening, and we'll do a full NBA Finals preview day tomorrow. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. We're going to preview the Penn State Nittany Lions with Tom Hannifan when we do come on back. He does a great podcast, State of State. We'll be back in 2 minutes or less with Tom Hannifan talking some Penn State when the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports continues in 2 minutes.
The 4-burner, side-burner, side-sear burner with Clearview Glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Breaking news in the NFL world. According to Adam Schefter, Odell Beckham Jr. is returning to the New York Giants, the team he last played for in 2018. Beckham visited the team again Monday and is signing with New York. So you have Odell Beckham Jr. re-signing with the New York Giants. And also, I saw that Braxton Berrios, who is no longer with Alex Earl, even though they were at an event a few weeks ago, but Braxton Berrios also signing with the New York Giants. We'll react to that later on in the show, specifically the Odell Beckham Jr. part. But now let's preview the Penn State Nittany Lions, a new era at State College, and we do so with Tom Hannifan, who does a great job, State of State podcast. He's also the lead announcer for TNA Wrestling, and Tom is kind enough, again, wants to join us on the show. Mr. Hannifan, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's nice to reconnect with you. I'm so excited for all the success that you've been having, especially here on 365 Sports. You're one of the hardest working men I think I know of in sports media. So it's nice to reconnect
it till you
with
make
you as
it.
always.
You know, that's what I just say. Fake it until you make it. For you with TNA Wrestling, you know, promote a little bit about the work that you're doing there as the lead announcer and really the growth there. Like, you guys have on Twitter, I think like 600 or 700,000 followers. You know, I'm not the biggest wrestling fan. I was as a kid, but there's WWE, there's AEW, and now you guys are having a lot of success with this.
Yeah, we're doing some really cool things. So you can check out TNA Thursday Night Impact every Thursday night on AMC from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. This coming weekend, we're going to be filming some episodes of Impact in Denver, Colorado, June 6th and 7th. That all leads up to one of our biggest pay-per-views of the year, Slammiversary, on June 28th in Boston, which is going to be awesome, live on pay-per-view and TNA Plus. And Zach, for your purposes, we will be in Philadelphia, July 30th and the 31st, and we will be in Albany, New York, just after Slammiversary. I believe that is July 1st and 2nd, but head to tnawrestling.com for complete ticket information.
So July 30th and 31st, you will be in Philadelphia?
At the Liacouras Center. I think you might be familiar with
at Temple,
yes.
on Temple's campus?
Yes.
Hold on, I'm coming home, coming home. Do you need a security guard for that event?
I would love a security guard. I would love you to replace my regular co-host, Matthew Raywalt. He is the bane of my existence. But, I mean, we just had Chris Carey on commentary with us, grandson of Harry Carey, voice of the A's right now out in Sacramento. So, I mean, we should get Zach Gelb to call a wrestling match. What do you think?
I would 1,000% be down. I'd become the biggest fan of wrestling. The WWE has never bought me. AEW has never bought me. That bastard Tony Khan. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like Tony whenever I see him. And I did an internship when I was at I wasn't a student there. I was in high school, but I did an internship at CW Post. And there was a guy by the name of Max Caster who was the sports director, and he did a rap like Pioneer Sportscaster, Turn It Up with Max Caster, and I gather he's become a big star. So, those entities have not won me over, so if you're inviting me out to Liacouras Center, I would be happy to go back to Philadelphia. I'd bring you cheesesteaks. Mama's closed down. Maybe we'll bring you some D'Alessandro's, but I would definitely go on back to Philly.
Thank you. I just ran into By George in Reading Terminal. I was home for Memorial Day weekend. My brother made a little pit stop there. So you got to discover the new places.
Reading Terminal.
I know.
I don't know if I'm allowed back in there.
What did you do?
Well, there's a parking garage across the street. And I was in college and maybe, enjoying myself, let's just say. And somebody else was driving and we were going to get the car after walking around Reading Terminal because it's a very enjoyable thing to take some performance enhancers before you go to Reading Terminal, if you know what I'm saying. And I was in an elevator and my friend goes, do you think the elevator can get stuck if you jump up and down? And let's just say I was like 90 pounds heavier at the time. So with all my might and my not so high vertical, I jumped and we got stuck in the elevator and the fire department had to come get us. Thankfully, the cameras weren't working in the elevator because if so, I think I may have had to been doing a little bit of a perp walk later that day.
Yeah, listen, if there's no evidence, it didn't happen, man.
And that story is past the statute of limitations right now. It would be a good bit for you guys, though, if I get arrested right in the ring doing the broadcast.
I think we should do it. And I'll see which of our largest wrestlers wants to powerbomb you. I'll look into that.
Oh my God. I don't know if I would be able to survive getting powerbombed.
I don't think I would. I'd burst into a million pieces. I've never taken one in my life.
What's the craziest in this community that you're in now? And you got to take risks. And that's why you're like the perfect person for it because you have a very good personality. Like, what's the craziest night associated with TNA wrestling that like you ever had?
That I've ever had? We have one that's going to air, honestly. And like, this is not a shill or promotion. This coming Thursday night on Impact on AMC, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. It is the Hardys. So for those, Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys, legendary Hardys, versus a team known as the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch. And they're going to compete in what is being referred to as the Wicked Garden. It has never happened before. Obviously, we filmed this in Sacramento a few weeks ago. What transpires will shock you. So that was by far one of the craziest nights I've experienced in TNA, and it airs this Thursday night.
So I was a huge John Cena fan as a kid, and Cena just retired. I actually remember meeting him. You would go to a mall, and there would be thousands and thousands of people. Like they had Cena, they had Batista. Like those are some of the guys that you would meet. And my dad just at the time recently had knee surgery, so he got a handicap pass. So he would do this whole shtick where he would walk up to the security guard and say, I can't wait on this line with this metal knee and all that. And I remember meeting Cena as a kid. When did Cena, that was like a few months ago that he had his last match, right?
December.
Do you think he'll resurface
So
again somewhere or do something non-WWE?
Oh, well, I mean, he's the voice of Honda. He does movies. He does commercials. He does all that sort of stuff. So he's popped back up a bunch more times for WWE. He was the official host for WrestleMania for them. But from what I understand, his in-ring career, as far as he refers to it as my career of falling down, has come to an end. So I admire an athlete understanding when it's maybe gone, to the point that the best point that you can take it, and you maybe can't deliver the way that you were able to deliver in the past. And that's exactly what John Cena has said, what AJ Styles has said. And then you hear about Odell Beckham Jr. re-signing with the Giants. I heard you say that when I was like sitting in the waiting room here, and I was like, I'm stunned to hear that that's even a possibility in 2026. So it's like some athletes know exactly when to leave. Barry Sanders, for instance, he was like, yep,
Sure.
I'm getting out. Other guys stay well past their welcome. So I think John did exactly what he wanted. He did it his way, and he earned that right.
Did you ever, I think we talked about this before, did you ever work with Taz?
No, I've only met Taz once.
Okay.
I met Taz once backstage at a SmackDown taping, and I think it was Scranton it was Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And it was very brief. I said hello to him, that sort of thing. I'd never met him before. He had been discussing me on his show at the time, and it was more so the issues going on with the commentary team I was on at that time. So it was just kind of odd bumping into him after the fact, but I was an ECW fan when I was younger, so I was a big fan of Taz, obviously. And then it was just kind of an odd circumstance bumping into him, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm at Taz. So I literally have not seen him since. So
he's a big softy at the end of the day. Like he has a big, tough persona. And I used to work with him at CBS Sports Radio. And like a lot of, like he did this rant once. He like, everyone says Zach Gelb's a good guy. He's like, when are people going to say Taz is a good guy? And I walked up to him and said, Taz, not for nothing. You sit in your car 10 minutes before you're supposed to go on the air. You walk in, you don't really say hello to anybody. And I go, you're like this big, intimidating figure that a lot of people around our studios that grew up idolizing you and loving you. So they're probably afraid to even say hello because you know how it is in this business. There's some talk show hosts that are like jackass, like when you can't look at them in the eyes, that wear like sunglasses indoors. So I said, Taz, like you could say hello to some people here or there. But for some reason, and I don't know why, I filled in for his co-host Mark Malusis a bunch of times, and Taz absolutely loved whenever I would fill in. And at one point, he goes to me on like the last day I was filling in with him, during a summer stretch. He goes, "Kid, my mother just called me." She goes, I could tell you really like this guy you're working with more than your other co-host. And it was so funny.
You always tell
burly guy like Taz. Where he's a regular person. I'm having a phone call with my mother, and she says that she likes you and I like you. He was a nice guy. Someone that I enjoyed always working with.
That's all I've always heard about Taz. And there's so many people in wrestling and in sports, I'm sure you deal with it all the time, where it's like there's their performative figure, I guess. Yeah. And then you meet the person and it was like, oh, those are two completely different things for better or worse. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, hopefully I get to meet him again. I've never met him. I've never had the chance to like really talk to him or anything. So
State of State, Tom Hannifan here with us on 365 Sports, talking all things Penn State. All right, good stuff talking wrestling. I would definitely be down to come to Philadelphia. So we'll talk off the air.
Yeah.
All righty. So you being, a huge Penn Stater, Matt Campbell coming in. I know the search was at times sloppy. I thought it was the right move to get rid of James Franklin. But when you have such a big job open and it seemed as if there was a lot of people saying no, you eventually get Matt Campbell, who is a really good coach and is an easy guy to root for. What are your thoughts now as we gear up, 2 months away from the official start of the Matt Campbell era?
Baby, we're in the honeymoon phase. Everything's great. Everything's gravy. Listen, the Penn State Nittany Lions right now have the number 6 recruiting class, according to 24/7 Sports, that being for 2027, that is. There's a lot of optimism, I think, heading into next season, but there's also a legitimate amount of skepticism from the outside looking in because of the number of injuries that Matt Campbell's staff was managing during the winter and during the spring. And thankfully, not necessarily new injuries, but inherited injuries from wherever these players came from in 2025, whether they're Iowa State or Penn State, what have you. So that is the thing that people are focusing on now with Matt Campbell, is that he seems to have righted the ship when it comes to the recruiting process. The transfer portal era, that cycle looked to have been a success. The way that he has put together his staff certainly has people encouraged. But it's just a matter of, okay, what is this really going to look like when we get into the season? And Penn State's one of the tougher teams to predict for 2026. Depending on where you look, it's over under 8.5 wins. Some people on the high end are thinking 10-2. Some people, worst case scenario, are thinking 6-6. The realistic element of looking at what Matt Campbell has in front of him in 2026 is that his offensive coordinator from Iowa State, his quarterback coach, and his quarterback are all there from the Cyclones. So you have that continuity. The offense is going to look pretty darn similar to what Penn State's accustomed to the last handful of years, 11, 12, 13 personnel running the football. And the wide receiver room, yes, is still something people are going to be wanting when it comes to Penn State football. And then the defensive side of the ball, if anything, has more questions, not just because of pieces that have gone off to the NFL draft, but more so Danton Lynn comes in as a new defensive coordinator from USC, Penn State letterman, somebody who had been courted by Penn State in the past when Franklin was there. But there's going to be more change when it comes to the scheme and the playbook on the defensive side of the ball. And there are far more questions with unproven commodities and a change in the way that they put together their personnel, for instance, trying to get bigger in the trenches on both sides of the ball, bigger at just about every position. So there's just a lot of questions right now. And I think there's plenty of people jumping to conclusions, delusions of grandeur, delusions of absolute mayhem, that sort of situation. So it's all very much a wait and see with Matt Campbell.
There's going to be a lot that I'm going to follow up on through multiple questions and what you just said. But let me start with the last thing that you said. Lynn coming over as the DC, him being a Penn Stater. You have Terry Smith still on staff, and we know how much Penn Staters love him. That's always a job, even though Franklin wasn't a Penn Stater, where it's still, you got to have some Penn State presence on the staff, and that's always controversial going back to the whole Joe Paterno situation. How big was that Lynn hire in getting another Penn Stater on staff? Because I still think there's a fine line, especially with the boosters and how that is in getting Penn State guys, but also not being, needing to be a Penn Stater yourself.
I think it's something as simple as, Zach, if you started a new job at a new network tomorrow and you're in the offices and you're giving the tour of here's what the network is all about, and you've only been there for a day, what do you know? I think that's something that's important for Matt Campbell to have retained Terry Smith, retained the likes of people within the recruiting staff like Alan Zamitis and Jordan Lucas, who are lettermen, had a ton of success at Penn State, getting Danton Lynn, who was just legitimately one of the hottest defensive coordinator names, I think, in the sport. So it was just on paper a good hire, whether or not Danton Lynn went to Penn State or not. But you needed to have that core group of staffers. Dan Connor's another name that comes to mind as well, that can speak to these young men, whether it's transfer portal guys making a decision if they want to stay or go after Franklin had been fired, or future recruits. Here's what Penn State is all about, because you can't ask Taylor Mauser and Ryan Clanton, the offensive line coach, to sell Penn State because they just got there. So I think trying to maintain that authenticity of what Penn State football is all about. But Matt Campbell's been really good from jump about understanding the tradition, the history, trying to bring former lettermen from multiple decades back into the fold to speak to the staff and speak to the roster, to give them the importance of what Penn State football is. Because the challenge for Matt Campbell is you're trying to galvanize a team in a handful of months where there's a lot of pieces on this roster that are one and done, a la quarterback Rocco Becht. You get one shot with this, and then the expectations really start to build in 27 and 28 for Matt Campbell. So there's just a lot of things that I think Matt Campbell has understood early on and have been very shrewd decisions, whether it comes to, hey, we get Danton Lynn, we make sure Terry Smith is there, we have that Penn State presence, but then we put in some of those values that he's had since Toledo that he brought to Iowa State. Yeah. Culture and character are the big things he talks about. And I think the one thing I've really liked is that they're evaluating things in a scheme of players, formations, plays in that order and trying to evaluate accordingly.
And it's kind of crazy because clearly everyone knows that I was not the biggest supporter of James Franklin. And I think that's the understatement of the year. So people just assume, Zach Gelb hates Penn State. I'm not the biggest fan. Let's be real. But I'll be fair here, even with all the ambiguities surrounding this new staff coming on in and a lot of unknown around the program, I look at the schedule, and they really only got 3 tough games. USC at Michigan, which isn't the toughest thing in the world, those 2 teams. And also you have a tricky game at Washington on November 7th. Like, even with all the unknowns, this team bare minimum should be like 9-3. They should be 10-2.
Yeah, I think 8-4, 9-3 is plausible. I will give Minnesota their flowers. I think PJ Fleck consistently puts a competitive team on the field. And again, I come back to all the points I just said. There are a lot of pieces that are dealing with injury during the offseason that it's still going to be wait and see by the time you get to fall camp. So I'm not taking anything for granted when it comes to this team. The non-conference schedule is a cakewalk again for Penn State, but given the turnover from last season, you're like, hey, like this is actually a blessing more than a curse. The easy game being at Temple there on September 12th.
You had that go in 2015 when you
I
played
went to
the
that game. That was horrible. No, I'm kidding. But like legitimately, Marshall at Temple, home against Buffalo. You really can't take anything for granted, but like you would assume Penn State would be the favorite in all of those games.
You could make a case that they don't have a game until October 10th. Marshall at Temple, Buffalo, Wisconsin's been a joke under Luke Fickell. Northwestern had a solid season last year, but like these first few games on the slate, it's a nice landing spot for a new coaching staff and also a team, like you said, that has a lot of injuries right now.
It's a nice landing spot in theory, Zach. But again, like we just don't know how all these pieces are going to work together. I think there's the assumption because of the brand that it's just all of a sudden going to be magic overnight with Matt Campbell. And yes, he's brought a lot of guys from Iowa State, but this is not exactly the same turnover as like Oklahoma State basically turning into North Texas 2026. It's not quite that, but it's still pretty significant. So I'm not taking anything for granted. Wisconsin has put a lot more into NIL and funding, transfer portal, picked up Colton Joseph, who was a highly coveted quarterback out of ODU. At Northwestern, they're opening their stadium. Aiden Childs is your new starting quarterback, who was a 5-star and struggled at Michigan State, but still 5-star qualities. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator for Northwestern. So in a game that's going to have national attention on a Friday night and they're opening up their new house, I expect a challenge. I still favor Penn State. To the point you were making before, home against USC, which a lot of people are hoping is the whiteout game and hoping that's a night game if the TV network gods cooperate.
Now, here we go. The Penn State are complaining about their whiteout game and their start
Do
time.
it at night.
Oh, my God.
It's pointless during the daytime.
The university, the Penn State fans, I've never heard more fans bitch about start times. You and Ohio State. Enough out of you two.
Fair. So home against USC and then at Michigan in back-to-back weeks. Later in the season at Washington, I'm glad you pointed that out. I think that's a difficult game in Seattle. Damon Williams Jr. and Jed Fish, if they kind of right ship after some unpleasantries in January. Home against Minnesota, home against Rutgers, at Maryland to end the year, and then no disrespect to Purdue, but home against Purdue. Here's the challenge I look at. There are Penn State fans that are thinking, well, if we go 10-2, we're in the college football playoff. Here's my question to you. Say those two losses are home against USC and at Michigan. What is Penn State hanging its hat on to make the college football playoff?
Their brand.
The brand, but it's like, say Washington is a team you beat on the road and they're in the teens, something like that. If it's high teens, maybe that helps you. They're in the 20s. I don't necessarily know. The brand, sure, but this isn't Notre Dame where you wrote it into your contract if you're 12th and above. I don't think.
And that could screw them. Like a 10-2 team could get screwed by Notre Dame because for people that don't know, this year, unlike last year, there's a clause if Notre Dame's in the top 12 in the final rankings, it doesn't matter. They are guaranteed a spot.
Yeah. So I think there's a reasonable possibility Penn State could go 10-2 and still miss the playoff because you have to have that resume building win. You're not going to get it out of the non-con. Like, for instance, you have Texas and Ohio State having that non-con matchup that can really help or hurt you depending on who you are. But Penn State's going to look at the rest of their Big Ten schedule and hope that Washington is a really competitive team and highly ranked. Hope that maybe Minnesota is ranked. Hope that, Wisconsin or Maryland or something like that are ranked because I don't think the committee would like that. And then realistically, if you want to guarantee you're making the playoff, it's got to be 11-1. And that one loss can be Michigan or USC. And as you well know, the resume, it depends on how it looks on the field. So there's just so many questions and variables, Zach. I just want to see the team, the effort from Terry Smith's Penn State last year. That team that finished the season, that certainly had ups and downs. The effort, the grit, and toughness that was put forward, as long as I see that as a Penn State fan, and yes, get above 500, I'm going to be happy with year one under Matt Campbell. Then it's like, okay, the expectations really ramp up for 27.
We know Campbell is a really good coach, and he didn't have a ton of resources at Iowa State, and he did a really good job. I give credit to James Franklin. He did a good job, but it was time to let him go because he was just very good. He wasn't great. He wasn't capable of winning those big games. But I remember a few years ago, Iowa State was projected to win the Big 12. They didn't come close. And then Campbell had this hellacious quote of like, that wasn't our goal to win the Big 12. It was yours. I never said that. We're just trying to be like the best we team together that we could be. Is there any concern from you? And I know it's a bigger job for Campbell with more resources now, that Franklin and Campbell are very similar and that this was just a lateral move?
It's too early to tell, honestly. I think Campbell has the potential to build in the right direction. What I mean by that is, for years under James Franklin, every 4 years you would see a top 10 recruiting class, and then otherwise it was in the teens. So there was a lot of misconception that, James Franklin's this great recruiter. It's like, no, he's a good recruiter. He's an above average recruiter. How is he at developing guys? And that was always the question at quarterback. We've seen how much Drew Aller has been crucified ever since being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers and his entire game being uninstalled. Meanwhile, you can at least look at Matt Campbell and say, it's like, okay, who are the quarterbacks of note that you've worked with? Brock Purdy and Rocco Becht. All right, two pretty good ones. I think the challenge for Penn State is, again, proving that you can compete at the highest level. And the spending, I believe, is going to come from Pat Kraft. And I don't want to forget about Pat Kraft and all this, because you mentioned the ridiculous cycle of trying to find the next coach. Is it Sataki? Is it going to be Mike Elko? Is it going to be somebody I'm not even thinking of right now? But you know what I mean in terms of Matt Campbell was somebody that just kind of developed out of thin air. And now you're sitting there with Pat Kraft and being like, okay, like, you're going to be under fire if this doesn't work, because it's the most important decision you've ever made as the AD at Penn State. The funding has to be there. And for Matt Campbell, culture and character are important, but results at the college level matter. And I think that's a shift that you're probably going to start seeing, is that as a program, you still have to show these young kids that there's a path to the National Football League, but also it's, what are you going to do while you're here? And it also felt for a while that Franklin was far more invested in selling himself and that path to the league than he was about actually getting the legitimate results at Penn State. So I think Matt Campbell is going to be far more focused on winning at Penn State. And I think he's also catching a really good trend when it comes to offensive football, in that we're seeing how many tight ends are being deployed throughout the NFL. That's exactly what he wanted to do at Iowa State. That's exactly what James Franklin was doing at Penn State. So you're going to catch the wave of that trend offensively, and hopefully that guides Penn State into the future with recruiting and transfer portal hits.
It's interesting from last year to this year. Like last year at this time, Drew Aller was a big name to go in the first round. Last year at this time, people were talking about Rocco Becht as a fringe first round pick. Now that talk really isn't there. I think Becht is actually a better quarterback than Aller. Assuming he's healthy, where's your belief level in just Rocco Becht so far entering this season?
There have been a lot of comparisons to Becht, of course, to Purdy, just because of the Iowa State connection, but very similar build, similar game when you think about it. There's also been a lot of comparisons to the former great Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley, and that's
got moxie like him.
He's got all the moxie, and Trace McSorley, beloved by Penn State fans. But what were his traits? He was accurate, he was nimble, he was tough as all hell, and he made the right decisions. He was smart with the football. Was he a guy that was going to be the first overall pick? Nobody ever thought that. And I don't think Penn State fans care about that. They care, what are you going to do on a Saturday in the navy blue and white? That's all that matters at this point. I think Becht, yes, I think he can have a higher ceiling because he understands the position and he did more with less, just kind of like this Iowa State staff did. He was banged up all of last season. All the information that's come out, torn labrum in his left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, and an AC sprain in his throwing shoulder, and he was playing through it. Like, can you imagine playing quarterback and just getting hit on the left side? Hurts like hell, and then you're trying to throw and you really can't put anything on it because your wing's messed up. So him having the offseason to rehab and educate, that's the thing that's making Becht's path so different in 2026. How many quarterbacks at a major FBS level have transferred with their staff to a new school with bigger expectations? And oh, by the way, we need you to teach the offense to all these guys that may or may not be available because they're out due to injury or they're just learning it now. There's a lot on his plate. So I don't have the delusions of grandeur for Penn State to make the college football playoff. It's one game at a time. Not to use Franklin's thing of 1-0, but it's like, man, you literally got to take this 1 week at a time if you're a Nittany Lion fan.
Marshall.
God, I'm so tired of that. I got so tired of that. I'm done with it.
I think I just vomited. Taylor Moser, the new offensive coordinator. I joke about the schedule and the whiteout and stuff. Penn State fans, when the offensive coordinator is hired, love to hype up the OC. Like Cole Necky, you would have thought was the second coming of Jesus for crying out loud. And then he quickly did fall out of the good graces of the Happy Valley fan. For the new staff coming on in, I really haven't heard much about the offensive coordinator. I know you've talked a bunch about it, but what is the feel in State College about the OC?
I think there's optimism, and especially bringing a significant amount of pieces on the offensive side of the ball, Becht being one of them. There's so much familiarity, so there's more confidence, I think, in Mauser and Jake Waters, the quarterback coach, to get this offense installed with a lot of new pieces, guys from Penn State, guys from other schools. But you're going to have Carson Hansen at running back, an Iowa State transfer, 2 wide receivers, Chase Owell and Brett Eskildson from Iowa State, Ben Bramer, who's a 6'7" tight end, and Gabe Burkle also a tight end, Trevor Burr at guard. You have a lot of pieces on the offensive side that already know what you're doing. So that education process from Becht and others is going to be very useful. You return Anthony Donko at right tackle. He's been out during the offseason. Kobe Howard is somebody Penn State fans are hoping turns into wide receiver 1 for emotional reasons, but there is that possibility. Andrew Rapplier has been out during the offseason with an injury, but he is expected to at least compete to be the number 1 tight end. So there's a lot of positivity, I think, with what the offense is going to present. The hang up for Penn State fans is they were hoping for it to look different. And it's going to look really similar. It's going to look a lot like James Franklin's offenses, where I mentioned 11, 12, 13 personnel. So 1 running back, 1 tight end, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, trying to lean more into those mismatches because the wide receiver position is still not loaded with Jeremiah Smiths and Malachi Tonys, right? So you're trying to use that play action game, smart throws down the field. They can work the seams very well with their tight ends. So I think you're going to see a better vertical passing game with Becht than Drew Aller. And here's the other thing, and I have to bag on Drew Aller. The amount of coaching that Franklin and his staff were putting into his head, it was overcoaching. They were giving him a philosophy on how to throw the deep ball and how to intentionally miss with the deep ball if the matchup wasn't there. Like, think about being the quarterback and you're aiming the ball as opposed to reacting and throwing with a guy in stride that you know about because you have this stupid philosophy drilled into the back of your head of, well, we'd like it to be here. Get out of here. Play the position. Let it rip. And I think that's what Becht and company are going to do.
24-team college football playoff. Are you on board with it, or do you think it's too many teams?
Way too many teams. Way too many teams. Even looking at this season, how many are credible national title contenders? What, 8, 10 max?
Yeah, I like Michigan, and here's what I'll say. Michigan last year, they had 3 big games. Didn't win one of them. They would have been in a 24-team playoff. It's like, do I need to see more of Michigan last year? No, I didn't. They stunk.
And like Illinois was another fringe team. And it's like Illinois was never going to win the whole thing. And Brett Bielema, of course, wants to see more. And these coaches want to see more teams get in, so it'll protect their jobs and protect their money. But realistically, 12 is fine right now. I'm good with it. I would be better with 8 because I want to see the best compete for it. And when I say the best, I don't mean the group of 5. I'm tired of the JMUs getting in. I'm tired of the Tulanes getting in. It's a nice story, and it's, you get to sit at the big kids table. That's fine. Put the best teams that can credibly win the national championship in the playoff. Let's see the best teams duke it out. Let's not just invite, I don't know, Duke, for instance, because like, well, they won the ACC. It was like, how did you guys win the ACC? It was awful. So I do not want to see 24. And I think it's just going to continue to water down the sport. And I think the point that's been brought up by a lot of pundits in sports media when it comes to college football, what if we get to a world where Ohio State versus Michigan in the regular season means nothing because the playoff is already figured out? And these teams, maybe it's like, hey, this is a foregone conclusion, or you want to rest your starters or something like that. You're going to erode some of the most important games and honestly the bedrock of what makes college football great.
Yeah, it's tough for me to ever imagine that those 2 teams wouldn't go all out for Michigan, Ohio State. But in a 24-team playoff, if everything's decided, or, who knows what it could mean for the sport. Like, I hated going to 12. 12 has worked. I was with you. I said, let's just go to 8 if we're going to expand this. 4 to 12 seemed too drastic, but 12 has been working. I've said, and I don't like Adam Silver, but maybe you do like a little play-in tournament where if you want 2 more spots, you go 13, 14, and you have 10 play 14, or it would be 11 play 14 and 12 play 13, and that decides the final 2 spots. If you want a little buffer, okay. Like, I won't bitch if they go to 16. I don't want them to go to 24, but I think you know it and I know it. As much as we do not want to go to 24, it's inevitable that they're going to go to 24.
No, the biggest thing for me, honestly, and this is maybe a controversial thought, I would like to see the AP poll eradicated.
Yeah. Well, last year after that gal, when it was USF and Florida played and USF beat Florida, she moved Florida up 2 spots and USF wasn't even on her ballot.
And I'm blanking on the young woman's name, but there were multiple people on that list that were offenders throughout the season. Let's just do it in an NFL style model of wins and losses and strength of schedule and points scored, whatever you want to do by conference. So this is the SEC's number 1 versus the SEC's number 3. That's sort of playoff indicator in terms of like, hey, here's the rankings within the conferences, because we've agreed you can't do apples to oranges. That's the whole mess we're in right now. So give me the Big Ten's number 1 against the SEC's number 3, for instance. It'd be a little messy, but let's be honest, when you look at the screen and you see a number next to a team's name, you're going to tune in. So we're misguiding this entire process, and coming back to Notre Dame, it's like, well, if they're 12 or better, okay, well, if this is all BS and the guys that are putting together the top 25 for the AP are barely paying attention, who has the time to watch every single game? You're either going to get people that will watch every single game, every single weekend, which is probably physically impossible, or you're just going to go by conference and make this a little bit simpler. I would love to see that. I know it won't happen.
Last thing, let's just circle back. TNA Wrestling and also State of State. Tell me the latest that's all cooking with those 2 great entities.
We're getting very, very close to Slammiversary for us here in TNA. We're celebrating 24 years of TNA Wrestling as of June 19th officially, but we'll be live on pay-per-view and TNA Plus June 28th in Boston, Massachusetts. You can get your tickets now via TNAWrestling.com. We'll be in Denver, Colorado for the final tapings that get us to Slammiversary, June 6th and 7th.
Got to go to Little Man Ice Cream when you're in Denver.
Little
very
Man
good.
Ice Cream.
Little Man Ice Cream. Very good.
Long
wait, but very good.
There's a couple of stops I'm going to make while I'm there.
Yes.
But we'll be doing that. And then check out State of State, a Penn State football show, wherever you get your podcasts. Myself and former Penn State quarterback, former Mississippi State quarterback, former NFL draft pick, and current CFL Grey Cup champion, Tommy Stevens, is my co-host. So we're doing great things, having fun with that. And then check out The Power 2, which I do with Cole Thompson and TJ Pittenger, live on the College Football Addiction YouTube channel. So
wait, you work with Cole?
Yeah, we've been doing it for a little over a year now, man. We're really starting to roll. Like, the viewership has been great, having a lot of fun. Cole's the best.
No, I do like Cole and his energy. I went out to dinner.
So much energy, yeah.
In Vegas. We went to Carbone in Vegas a few summers ago, and Cole, I had my face stuffed with rigatoni alla vodka, so I wasn't speaking. But Cole, the energy, that guy, he could really, I think I could talk. That guy, he doesn't shut up.
He's sharp. Like TJ's awesome. He kind of moderates between the two of us, and he's given us such a great opportunity on a multitude of his YouTube channels. But then Cole, I am just constantly impressed with. He does awesome stuff on SEC Unfiltered for anybody that's not aware of Cole Thompson. He is so prepared. He knows literally everything. I defer to him so often. Then I'm just the guy who happens to have been on wrestling TV for a long time. I'm like, I like college football too, so I try and fit it.
So when are you going to Philly again? July what?
Our shows for TNA will be July 30th and 31st at the Leah Kora Center.
Wow. Okay. I would definitely be interested in stopping by. Maybe we do a little tag team. I was talking to my guy Tyler Medikevich earlier today. He just got nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. He had 493 tackles at Temple. Obviously got to Christian Hackenberg a ton when Temple beat Penn State.
Yeah.
Won the Bednarik and the Nagurski trophy. So if you do that at Temple, you should not have to wait long to get in the College Football Hall of Fame. I think he'd be great in the wrestling ring, though.
I think that's pretty interesting. I remember having
Dirty Red.
I remember him with the Steelers very briefly.
Yep.
Yep.
Steelers and the Bills.
He just looked like a linebacker. He looked like a middle linebacker.
Well,
that
here's the
kind
thing.
of, throwback guy.
He played in Buffalo. He still lives in Buffalo. He's probably jumped through a table. So you can get him up on top of the ring and have him jump on and nail people.
I know it's not that close, but we'll do Albany July 1st and 2nd. So if he wants to come out to both, he's welcome to. Yeah.
Do a little test run. Tom Hannifan, State of State, TNA Wrestling. Make sure you check it out. Always great to catch up with you, my friend. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you.
There you go. The sensational Tom Hannifan joining us right there on 365 Sports. Excellent. Not just a good performance by him. An excellent performance on the show today. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll talk some SGA. We'll talk some Sorsby. And we will also get into A.J. Brown as well. It's Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. We're back in 2 minutes or less.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. You know, starting a new job is a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Someone you can't live without.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer you keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Yo, it is the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Garrett Ross, I believe that was your first Tom Hannifan experience. He used to join me a ton on CBS Sports Radio. I love talking to him. We would just talk shit back and forth about Penn State football, and he would come on a bunch. What were your thoughts on Mr. Hannifan?
No, man, he's fun. He brings some energy. I think he's I agree with a lot of what he said on the Matt Campbell taking over there. I think there's a lot of expectations. I'm really intrigued to see how this works this season. And you bring up a good point. Like, they're almost a carbon copy. Like, him and James Franklin, pretty much their careers are very similar to how they do things. But having I
just don't think Campbell's as much of a douche as
he's
not.
He's not. But I mean, look, he did excellent things at Iowa State. Like, things that he took that program to heights that they have never seen before. Having the more of a war chest at his disposal, I'm really interested to see up there. But patience is definitely going to be needed for the first couple of years in Happy Valley. But no, that was a fun interview, man. He's very insightful.
And the thing I love the most about what he said. Because, right, if you hear Penn State goes 10-2, you're thinking, oh, shoo-in for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
If they go 10-2, though, and their only win is up against, like, Washington, who's, like, 22nd in the country when they play them, and they lose to both USC and Michigan, I actually appreciate him saying that it's not a lock that they make the college football playoff.
And I think that kind of solidifies the point Sark was trying to make the other day with his comments towards Texas Tech and their schedule was that's the biggest deal right now. It's not apples to apples anymore, man.
But if you win the Big 12, you're getting in.
That's the difference, though. If you're,
I know there's some outliers where it's like the
ACC
ACC last year. Assuming
That
you're
was
not
different.
a 5-loss team and you win the conference.
But that's going to be fascinating, dude, is when you have like one of these, when you're sitting there with like a 9-3 SEC team and you're trying to look at these, or however you want to put it, whatever conference, and you're looking like a 9-3 team versus a 10-2, and man, it's going to be insane how this unfolds. But I really hate too, like the Notre Dame free pass is bullshit. Like everybody should be mad about that, dude. Like, there's no way that should be allowed.
I don't think that rule should be there. Let me ask you this: how many teams? Just give me without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't think about it. I just want a number right away. How many teams do you think are a lock this year to make the college football playoff?
A lock? I would probably say maybe 4 that are locked.
Ready?
Yeah.
I would say Ohio State's a lock, right?
Gotta be.
Georgia's a lock.
Yeah.
I would say Notre Dame this year is a lock.
Yeah.
I think Miami's a lock too.
They should be. They definitely should be. But how, with them getting upset last year at SMU, I don't want to necessarily. I'm kind of apprehensive on that.
I don't think they play SMU or Louisville this year.
Yeah, I think we did look at the schedule and they don't have them. But they do play Notre Dame. Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah, they should be as well. Like, there's just no reason why it shouldn't be Oregon and Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. I think that's kind of where we're headed with that one.
I would say those are the only 5 locks that I could give you right now: Notre Dame, Miami, Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon. And I know people are going to say, well, how don't you say Texas? Well,
their schedule.
I think Texas should get in, but their schedule and also missing last year, I think they'll be better. But how much better are they going to be in the schedule? In terms of their overall record, they had 3 losses last year. They could have 3 losses again. I think this is going to be the year, I believe, more than ever, with expansion right around the corner. And last year being the year where strength of schedule was supposed to matter more, and I don't really think it did.
No.
I do believe this year you'll have those debates more than ever of a 3-loss team in the SEC. I think it's more a 3-loss in the SEC compared to some of these 2-losses teams in other conferences. I believe that's going to be a heightened awareness more than ever this year.
Well, the thing too, like, we got to be cognizant of going forward because we're already starting to see it. And like, I think people that really follow college football could tell it was coming, but we're to the point now where scheduling, if you're not a blue blood, is more challenging because for instance, the Baylor and Oregon were supposed to play, right? They were supposed to play a home and home this thing has been on the docket for like a decade. That got wiped out so Oregon could keep the Civil War. And you're starting to see more of these where the blue bloods they only.
I know what you mean by that. Could you
ahead.
imagine if you're not a college football fan and you just
and
you just hear, so Oregon could keep the Civil War?
They could keep the Civil War and be like, what the hell is this dude talking about? But no, like, we're starting to see that. So it's going to be even more challenging. And I'm interested to see how this scheduling comes about going forward with these teams doing that, because it's going to make it even more difficult to compare resumes from schedule to schedule.
Now, I would say this. In theory, if you're going to 24 teams, you have more wiggle room to lose a few more games.
I don't like that.
So I don't like that either. But what I would say, and I don't think this would actually happen because teams are still going to schedule soft. I know the SEC said next year, the second to last week of the season, there's no cupcakes. That's going to be an SEC game. But I do think that if you're telling me, okay, 24 teams are in the playoffs, then we should have more Texas-Ohio State games.
Right.
There should be more games like that, compared to Indiana's schedule. I'm not taking a shot at Indiana. This is just a team that I know that has 3 easy games. Penn State, 3 easy games to start the season. Maybe just 2 easy games, and you throw one Big Ten versus SEC showdown, ACC versus Big 12 showdown, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't want to see a team that, like, okay, for instance, say Texas does have to play that tough schedule. I think, right, we were talking about Michigan earlier, right? And they had 3 losses last year.
Yeah.
If you have one of those tougher schedules and you lose like 2 of those games, or like you don't win any of them, I don't want you in the playoff because you played a tougher schedule than a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to give you a free pass.
But sure, Michigan had 3 big games last year. They lost them all.
That's what I'm saying.
If they would have won one of those games, different conversation. Because, like, let's say Penn State Or no, maybe not Penn State. I'm just going to throw two random teams. Let's say Indiana, who is the defending national champ, so they deserve respect, right? But let's say Indiana, cupcake schedule, they have 2 losses, and they don't really have a big win.
Yes.
And then Michigan, let's say, they have 3 tough games, and they win 1, but then they lose 2, and they have 3 total losses. Like, I do think the 2 and 3 loss. If you have 4 losses and you just have a tough schedule, you're trying to compare it to 2, different. There's 2 games different. But if it's a 1-game difference and one team, just insert random school A versus random school B. Random school A has a easy schedule and they lost 2 games, and random school B has a tough schedule, but they lost 3 games. I do think we should side with the team that has the tougher schedule.
I agree.
If you like, I know it's ambiguous and all that, and I don't want to be held to it, but I do think the quality of schedule that you play within reason should matter.
No, it does, and I agree with you. I just think I don't want this to become it's like we're putting more speculation on it instead of just going off of what's on the field. Like when we're having to expand this playoff, and I agree. Like I'm with him, and I'm with you. I think 8 was perfect. I don't think there's any more than 8 teams.
12's been fine, though. It 12 has worked.
It has, but at the end of the day, even with 12, I still don't think there are more than 8 teams that
can win it all.
Legitimately can win it all.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I'm at with the playoff situation.
Okay, let's do this, by the way. One more thing from Tom Hannifan. I think that was a pretty good invite down to Philly.
I think you need to go and get in the ring. That's what I think
you
needs
imagine?
to happen. I want to see it.
Drop a little, you can't see me to one of those guys.
Just dude, and then like the tag team. Let's go, dude. Let's do this.
Yeah. So Hannifan actually texted me. He said, "Thank you for the number of opportunities, my friend. Seriously, if you want to make those shows July 30th to 31st in Philly, let me know."
I think you got to do at least one, bro.
I could definitely go July 30th.
You got to.
So I'm free also on July 31st. I have an early flight out of New York on August 1st. I have a wedding that I have to go to.
Paint yourself up like a big owl, like just go and rep for your set.
I would probably have to wear like a Temple jersey to that event, a Temple football jersey to that event. Hold on, do we have some breaking news here?
I saw. The judge didn't make a decision on Sorsby.
Hold on. Wait. Is this actual news?
Holy
Is that actual news? Myles Garrett?
Yes.
Hold on. I think I just froze my camera. Didn't I just say the other day that Myles Garrett
We were talking about it being traded. Yeah.
Yeah. The Browns are finalizing a trade that will send 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams per Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, and Tom Pelissero. In exchange for Garrett, the Rams are expected to send Pro Bowl edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, and other draft compensation still being negotiated to the Browns. Wow.
Dude.
Wow. What an effing deal. The Rams are going all in. Jared Verse is a heck of a younger player. He goes from the penthouse now to the outhouse because he goes to freaking Cleveland. You know what? At this rate,
Super Bowl.
And I know that earlier, a few years ago, you had Aaron Donald say, like Myles Garrett, I think it was him, Everett goes to the Rams. Maybe that could get me out of retirement. I'd be picking up the phone, say, Aaron Donald, do you want to come be a member of the LA Rams again? Holy smokes. A buddy of mine just texted me that, and I go, hold on, I got to make sure that this is a real news. But that is real news. Myles Garrett leaving Cleveland and going to the Rams. What an effing win for him, and what an effing win for the Rams.
I want to see what that does to the Super Bowl odds, because that's definitely they definitely have got to extend that. But bro, that's insane. Like, I don't understand why more organizations don't move and operate like the Rams. They've shown like this is the modern way to do things, and nobody else wants to do it. The Eagles have done a pretty good job, but like, bro.
The Eagles have. No, the Eagles have. I definitely give them credit, but the Rams have definitely embraced F them picks, and it's basically 2-1s because you give up your own first-round pick, which is going to be late anyway, and then Jared Verse is a heck of a younger player, but as good as Jared Verse is, he's not Myles Garrett.
No. Dude,
oh, my God. My cell phone doesn't get good service down here. But I just trying to find that take that we have. A franchise. Oh, you know what? This guy tweeted me the other day, Sir Irish Whiskers. 10th consecutive year of East Coast media, blowhard fanboys hoping Myles Garrett becomes available. Hold on. Come again? Should I do, what is it, Old Takes Expose?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Dude, this is nuts.
Yeah. So I said the other day that he was going to be there to start the season, but I don't see him finishing his career. You know?
Yeah, dude, this right here, and that's not a bad pickup deal for the Browns either. Like, I get you don't want to lose it, but I mean, you got a young player that you could build your defense around. You just got to figure out your quarterback situation. You've done some great things acquiring skill position players in this draft. It's fascinating.
Well, this is a good move for the Browns.
It is.
The reason why this is a good move for the Browns is your franchise icon didn't want to be there anymore.
Yep.
Quite frankly, he didn't want to be there 2 Super Bowls ago when he was talking to me on Radio Row and said he wanted to go to a winning organization. Then you threw him $40 million a year, so he kind of did the NBA route of get the money and then shortly after that, force your way out. But this whole thing was bizarre from the jump. He hasn't had a face-to-face conversation with the new head football coach in Todd Monken, and the toothpaste was out of the tube. Then they tried to put the toothpaste back into the tube. He didn't want to be there. So you're the Browns. You're nowhere close to winning. You're never going to be in contention mode, or you're never going to be, again, really a legit contender with Myles Garrett. So you go trade him. You got a young player like Jared Verse who has to be miserable today because he literally went from the penthouse to now the outhouse, and you get another first-round pick. And let's remember, the Browns may be bad enough on their own to be in striking distance to go get a quarterback in the first round next year, like at the tippy top with Arch Manning and Dante Moore. But you add more ammunition now where if you need to trade up a spot or two to get your quarterback, you now have another future first-round pick coming your way for Myles Garrett. This is a heck of a move for the Rams because Myles Garrett, they didn't need more help, and now you get the best defensive player in the league on arguably the best team in the league and a team that is the Super Bowl favorite. And then for the Browns, you get a lot back for a player who is an absolute stud. I think people thought that there would be 3 first-round picks here for Myles Garrett, but he's not a quarterback, so you get Verse and a first-round pick for a guy that didn't want to be there. I don't know how much better probably, and I know we don't have the final details here, what Andrew Berry could have done, Garrett.
No, there's not much you can do. Like, this was this just solidifies that the Rams are cooking, man. This is the perfect deal for them. Myles Garrett's going to be absolute freak. I'm really excited to see what he could do in this defense. It's going to be like the Rams are going to be just different this year.
Yeah, and they're going to be the team with if you look at it, they've been so close. I know they already won a championship, but they've been so close in terms of getting that other Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, where they lost to the Eagles and then they lost to the Seahawks, and both those teams did go on to win the Super Bowl. So I'm just trying to get more information here on this. The Rams will send 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett. The Browns will send 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Rams. In exchange, the Rams are expected to send Pro Bowl edge Jared Verse and a 2027 first-round pick and other draft compensation still being negotiated by the Browns. So that is the latest there. And I just think I did see another piece of breaking news. We have Odell. We knew that is going back to the Giants, which that to me doesn't really matter. Oh, this was I missed this. This was an hour ago. I didn't see this till now. Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to become a CBS Sports analyst, which is good. We don't need any more Russell Wilson in the NFL. The longer he stayed around, the more and more he's going to put a dent that was already even done into that potential Hall of Fame legacy. So holy smokes. What a crazy little day there where Myles Garrett is now going to the Rams. My Lord. What a deal. What a deal. All righty. Zach Gelb Show, 365 Sports. We'll talk more football next.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, it's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transformed by Core Home Fitness.
A secret. I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
So the big news today, and this just broke a few moments ago, and we don't have the official details, but Myles Garrett is getting traded to the LA Rams. Jared Verse, a first-round pick, and more is going to be going back to Cleveland. I told you about that Aaron Donald speculation, just throwing that out there for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I looked back at this during the break. It wasn't for Myles Garrett. Aaron Donald teases NFL return if the Rams trade for Micah Parsons during the Cowboys rumor. That was on August 6th in 2025. Donald's been out of the NFL for what? I think it's 2 years.
Yeah.
This may be going on year number 3 with him being out of the NFL. I don't think it would hurt whatsoever to hit him back up. 2023 was his last year, so he's been out 2 years. You don't need him, but wouldn't you at least make the phone call and see if that still applies?
I mean, I would, because you like with the length of the schedules now, and as much as it takes in attrition to go and win a Super Bowl, if you could add him just as a depth piece and get some productive value out of him, hell yeah, I'm making that call.
And you could come on back whenever you want. You know, like you don't want to do training camp,
Right,
you want to come around week 1 or week 6. You could definitely do that. Man, the only thing here is that Jared Verse is a heck of a player. And I give credit to the Browns for being able to get a guy back like Jared Verse, who's 25, and Myles Garrett is 30 years old. He turns 31 here. This is just one of those moves where even though Verse is going to be a stud for a while, Myles Garrett has probably 3 elite, bare minimum, 3 elite years left. And not that you needed to do this, but it's an added luxury.
Yep.
And at this rate, you look at that team. You got Stafford. You have Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. You have Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have Turner, Young, Lake. You traded for McDuffie. You got Watson. And Fisk. Fisk is a stud too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to do this. Fisk came in studio with me right before the draft. And him and I were still friendly-ish. I'm going to text him. My Lord. And he's a verse guy.
Yeah, he's a verse. Like they
watch. Stinks to see verse go. But for Miles, whew.
Yeah. That's what where you take, like my God, dude. Like you appreciate your time with your boy Verse, but like this is about winning a championship now,
oh
dude.
my God. And Fisk is a really good player.
He
good
is,
dude,
man.
too. Oh my God. I'm trying to just put this tweet out there because I don't think people are going to remember this Donald stuff. Remember the Aaron Donald. Hold on. Do me a favor. Give me a reaction on this deal real quickly so I could send out this tweet.
What do you want me to do? Like
Just give some reaction.
I mean,
all
like,
right, I'll ask you a question so then I could stall. Rams don't win the Super Bowl this year. Who do you then go to?
Oh man, I still would have to go with I had the 49ers even winning that division, which now that drastically has changed. So it would either be the Rams, I would say Buffalo, or Rams, Buffalo, and Broncos for AFC. I would say Philly.
Wait. Buffalo and the Broncos for the AFC, and then the NFC. If it's not the Rams, who would you go? Philly, and then who else?
I'd probably say Philly, or I would just go Philly. I don't think anybody, like, probably either Philly or Dallas coming out of them.
Yeah, we were thinking that this was going to be the day of A.J. Brown.
I know. He's got lost. Odell Beckham's irrelevant, which that was a irrelevant pickup anyway.
Yeah, that's just because of the relationship with
Yeah,
Harbaugh.
that never made any damn sense to me. Like, that's a waste of a roster spot.
I got my tweet out, so I don't really need you to stall anymore.
Okay,
I said, remember the Aaron Donald rumors? If the Rams got Micah Parsons, I wonder if the Aaron Donald rumors would pop back up with the Flash Garrett trade. Just make sure that we get that.
Very possible.
And that would be something. That would be something. Oh my God. What a freaking move right here. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I was talking about a potential trade between the two.
Yeah.
I even said the Rams, but just that Myles Garrett leaving the Browns, for this to happen this quickly, when you're not talking to the new head football coach, how could you go forward with him? So this is from ESPN. They just released this article. This just got sent out there. The Cleveland Browns are finalizing a trade that will send two-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Rams for two-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round draft pick, and other draft compensation that is still being negotiated. Sources told NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero and ESPN's Adam Schefter. Garrett to the Rams for Verse and draft picks now is expected to become the NFL's latest blockbuster trade and one of the biggest defensive trades in NFL history. The shocking trade is completely on brand for the Rams, who made a similar seismic move in the 2021 offseason when they traded for quarterback Matthew Stafford in season, in which the Super Bowl was being played in Los Angeles before going on to win it. With Super Bowl LXI set to be played at SoFi Stadium again, the Rams once again are going all in and living by the mantra, F them picks, while trying to repeat history. The Rams' interest in Garrett was sparked shortly after the Browns modified the contract of the 7-time Pro Bowl defensive end in March, pushing back the options bonuses from the 15th day of the league year in March to 7 days before the start of the regular season, making it easier to trade him. The Browns were adamant that they had no interest in trading Garrett and even told the Rams, according to sources, but the Rams refused to give up what one source called their persistent pursuit of Garrett. Los Angeles, according to sources, continued calling and calling. The only team that tried to pry loose a player the Browns once deemed untouchable. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, they're the only team. Like, could you have even got more? And I don't know how you really top it, but could you even got more if you really had these talks tune up a little bit? Talks heated up in the earnest shortly after this year's NFL draft. The Rams initially offered a package of picks in return for Garrett, but Cleveland held firm to its public stance of not dealing defensive standout, according to sources. The Browns told the Rams that no deal would get done without including the 25-year-old Verse, the Rams' 2024 first-round pick, who had 12 sacks and 22 tackles for loss the past 2 seasons. Remember, he originally played his college ball at Albany before landing at Florida State. The Rams initially were not interested in moving Verse, but eventually began to consider a package with him as long as the draft picks were adjusted appropriately. Sources said while the NFL World focused Monday on the expected A.J. Brown trade to New England, the Browns and Rams are putting together the parameters of one of the biggest defensive trades in NFL history, one that rivals or exceeds what the Green Bay Packers sent to the Dallas Cowboys last summer for Micah Parsons. The Browns are expected to get what they believe is a long-term value, significant draft pick compensation to go along with Verse, a younger, cheaper player who is not eligible for a contract extension until after the season. The Browns privately have calculated that this trade is likely to save them $30 million in cash, though they are fully prepared to pay Verse when the time is right. Verse will now help offset the loss of Garrett, with the Browns also receiving additional picks for the second year in a row. The Browns will have 2 first-round picks, and they currently are scheduled to have 11 picks in the 2027 draft, including 3 fourth-round picks, 2 fifth-round picks, and 2 seventh-round picks. They will be armed to move around the draft board if there's a player they deem worthy of acquiring. So there's a lot more in this article, but you want your front office to be the Rams. Persistent, and they know on paper they have the best team, but they weren't satisfied with it. They wanted to go even further.
So I just found 10 minutes ago, Mary Kay Cabot headed where Andrew Berry is meeting with the media, and he's talking about this. Do you want to hear what he had to say 10 minutes ago about it?
Yeah, what did he say?
I don't know. Let me play the video. You want me to play it?
Yeah, you got it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We wanted today really to be about the Browns Foundation and everything that we're doing, the good work that we're doing there. Not naive that there's a lot in the social media sphere regarding Miles. Nothing is final at this point. We are in discussions of a potential transaction, including him. I'll have a lot more to say about it once it is final, if it does become final. And I'll discuss the details at that point. But we are in negotiations. We're hopeful that we close something here in the next several hours. But nothing's final right yet. So like I said, I'll have an update for you guys maybe as soon as tomorrow when there's resolution. All right, Andrew.
Holy smokes! Well, that deal's gonna. If this already is out there, it's gonna happen. It's just we have the major pieces. Now let's cross the T's and also dot the I's. So. This is what's going on in the sports world right now. We're waiting on an A.J. Brown trade to the Patriots. We know that Myles Garrett is about to be on the move to the L.A. Rams. Then Brendan Sorsby is going through his injunction hearing right now. If he wins, he'll be eligible to play this year in college football for Texas Tech. If he loses, then you would have to think it's going to be the supplemental draft. And I saw Todd Monken was speaking today. I didn't hear the whole thing, but the headline was it would be a slippery slope to try to go after Brendan Sorsby. And that's another thing, Garrett, that we have to think about is with the gambling thing, how serious will NFL teams take this? And will some team just be like, hey, I'm not even entertaining a player that has a gambling addiction at this stage right now because of not knowing maybe what could happen in the future. And Trey Wallace had a breakdown of the Brendan Sorsby gambling situation. Sorsby transferred at least $60,000 to friends to place bets on his behalf. At least 2,900 bets were placed while at Indiana for more than $30,000. From September to October 2022, he placed 40 bets on Indiana football totaling at least $850. From October 2022 to November 2023, Sorsby placed at least 50 bets on Indiana basketball totaling more than $1,400. From September 22nd to December 23rd, Sorsby placed 300 bets on college football totaling at least $6,500. Sorsby admits he placed 1 or 2 of the 3 bets on Cincinnati hoops through his account for $3,500, while at Texas Tech, which is new, he sent $5,000 to a person who placed bets on NBA, MLB, and PGA for him. He's been through this inpatient rehab process, which was like 30, 35 days. I've been back and forth on this, where he's going to play. He's not, like, bare minimum, with that over $800 or more, he should have to serve bare minimum a 4-game suspension. The courts, though, that's the holdup. The courts usually rule in favor of the player, the NCAA. That's tough to put that guy back on a college football field this year.
I just don't see with how bad that was that you could – I don't see how you can let him back in. I just don't. And I'm really fascinated. I would love to know, like, what NFL GMs or NFL front office think about this. Like, how are you viewing this player? And because this is going to set the table for everything going forward, because he's not going to be the first. I mean, he's definitely not the first. He's not going to be the last. but we haven't seen anything like this. And I think that he's not going to play for Tech. I wouldn't be shocked if he entered the supplemental draft. I'm just fascinated to see where he might end up if he does do that.
The other thing too in the sports world, we got the Stanley Cup final beginning tomorrow between the Hurricanes and the Knights. We got the NBA finals on Wednesday. Wemby and the Knicks, Spurs and the Knicks, a rematch in 1999. I just wanted to, I know we got to run here, but I just wanted to play one more clip. This was SGA. You know, a player just won a championship, just won an MVP, then won another MVP this year, but he loses in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. A lot of players would say, nah, it's not a failure of a season. You can't win it all each and every year. I love this answer by SGA. Give it a watch.
It was, I mean, like, it was a failure. Like, I failed at my goal. Like, I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. But through my experiences, I learned the most about myself, and I make the like greatest amount of increases I have in my career when I fail at my goal and don't get what I want. And I look at this no different. I didn't get where I wanted to go this season. There's a reason for that. Now I have to look at that reason and try to make sure it never happens.
Wild show today. Appreciate you tuning on in. Big thanks to Tom Hannifan. Big thanks to Garrett Ross. Big thanks to Logan and Andrew back in Waco, Texas. We'll be back tomorrow as we will be live from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. If you missed any of the show today, you can watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/@365SportsYT. If you want more Zach Gelb, I'll be on WQAM today in Miami in about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. We'll be on from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, filling in for Mark Hochman on Hochman, Crowder, and Solana. We will talk to you tomorrow. Miles Garrett, A.J. Brown, Sorsby. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Oh, it's Christmas in June for a Sports Talk host. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.